Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Our guest today is the founder of Crockpack. He's a good friend of mine, a former colleague at Emirates Airline, and on today's live stream, he'll be sharing ideas with you on how to launch your product during an epidemic, or a pandemic, should we say. Tim, great to see you there, and thanks for joining us.
Absolute pleasure to see you, mate, as usual. Thanks for having me on board.
My pleasure. Well, talking about on board, we had a onboard experience back in 2011. Was it 11? What year was it?
I'd say 10 or 11. Yeah, you're pretty close.
2010 or 11. We did a flight from Dubai and we flew into LA. And then when we're in LA, you jumped in a convertible and you drove out to Vegas and you got married on the layover.
And got married. So hopefully my wife's not watching this or listening to this, because I could probably be remembering the year that we got married.
Well, Ninny and I
Love you,
had
baby.
our wedding anniversary this month, and it was at the end of the day that my mum sent me a message and she said, "Sweetheart, congratulations on your wedding anniversary."
Yeah.
And now we've got a family group WhatsApp chat, and the wife come in yelling screaming at me, "How dare you forget our anniversary?" I said, "Thank God that my mother remembered it." She said, "You haven't remembered our anniversary for 11 years. I said, "Well, that's true, sweetheart, because we've only been married for 10 and you've never remembered it either."
Touche. And thanks, Mum, while you're there. Cheers.
Mum's the word, hey? Well, good to see you there. Some people might call you crazy, but you've launched a new product right in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Gee, are you crazy or are you just ballsy? Which one is it?
Mate, I think maybe a little bit of both. And I would say if I didn't launch it now, when do we launch it? It's a fantastic product. And we're launching into a very, very weird time on planet Earth. So there is lots of viruses that we still have got no idea of how to combat. So if not now, when? But I also think I didn't want to use the pandemic as an excuse. I think it really is coming down to mindset. You're the mindset expert here, so you would understand more than anyone in this room just how important it is to get this right, and everything else will follow. It doesn't matter what situation that you're facing.
So you've invented Crockpack, and how did you come up with it? What was the driving force behind it? Because as I go through your website, the ladies here, they're bloody hot, they're gorgeous, and the fellas are, I wish I was looking like them as well.
Mate, you used to look like that. It might have been a couple of years ago. If you scroll down, of course. Mate, Crockpack. Here's one I prepared earlier, and it is a waterproof, anti-theft, everyday bag that's been designed by me to lock to anything. So in the process of doing that, you're free to relax. You're free to live in the moment. You're free to enjoy your time with family and friends, no matter where you are. You might be on a train commuting with your laptop in the bag. You might be on a beach with your family, with your phone and keys. No matter where you are, you can keep it safe with a Crockpack.
I remember I was in my teens and I had collapsed bronchioles. And so I also had asthma. And I went down to the beach at Cronulla and I went for a surf and came out. I had my flippers on, my shorts, my rash vest, and my stuff had been stolen, including my asthma puffers. And I was pissed because
Damn right.
I had to now catch a train home 75 kilometres away in freezing cold clothes without my asthma puffer. And so I've personally had stuff stolen from the beach. Has it happened to you?
It has happened to me, but I want to actually segue from that comment from you just mentioned. You experienced that in the past, and it would have been quite a difficult time to experience that, especially with the puffer. The phone you can replace, the puffer's pretty dangerous. What do you do now, Dan? So traveling's pretty hard for us all, and I know that you're from Sydney, but just imagine you're on Bondi Beach with Ninny and Nikita and Caesar. What do you do with your phone and keys now?
I say, inshallah, nobody steals them. Say, God willing, nobody steals it, and I leave it, but I end up rubbernecking. I'm turning around every 5 seconds to make sure that nobody's stealing my stuff, so I can't enjoy myself. But then you get a slap across the ears from the wife to say, keep your eyes on the kids. And so it's not a good experience. So somebody always has to miss out. Somebody's got to stay on the towel.
You know what? After some pretty extensive research, that's one of the three most popular answers for that question that we found. So one always misses out was one. The second one was, believe it or not, people would stick their phone in a sock or fold it in a t-shirt and shove it in the sands and hope no one's seen it as they go for a swim. Now, I don't know about your phone, but mine's an iPhone and they're $1,500 these days. I don't want to be doing that to my phone. And then the last one really comes down to you either miss out on the fun, you stick your phone in the sands, or like you said, you stick your phone in your bag and hope for the best. And that was the reason behind inventing the crock pack. It's 2020. We can do better than that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not a good strategy to have to bury it, psychologically. I know, and this is my field, is what happens is your emotions run high. And so you already have this fear that somebody's going to steal it. And now these
100%.
fears of, fear of loss is huge for people. You start to focus on the fear of loss, but that fear runs around through the body and impacts you for 4 hours. So I know before, when I've gone for a surf and I've left my stuff on the beach, I can't enjoy myself in the water because I'm too busy looking back in at the shore.
Exactly. We work pretty hard for our spare time these days. God knows how many hours we're both working consecutive days per week, 6-7 days a week. When we do find that time to enjoy it with the family or go for a surf, you want to relax, you want to make the most of it.
Things that are stolen as well. I don't think for a lot of us it's the problem. $1,500 is not a lot of money, but it's what you got to do to get the $1,500. If you're in business and you're operating your business on a third, what have you actually done to get that $1,500? Think about some of these phones. It takes 2 or 3 years to pay it off. So I've got $1,500. I've done 10 grand worth of consulting. I still actually can't afford to buy a phone. How much consulting? I've got to do 20 grand. Okay, now it's going to take me 3 months just to pay for the phone. I still haven't paid myself. That's the big problem with theft for me. It's the time that goes involved, not the money, but it's what time's involved to get it back again. Now I've got to work I've got to work 6 months just to pay for a phone.
Couldn't agree more. I think what really hits me is the fear factor that we've already touched on, but losing the keys is a big thing for me. I mean, I've driven to the beach, my car, 40, 50 grand, whatever it's worth secondhand. If that key goes missing, if that fob goes missing, wow, it's going to cost you a lot more than $1,500. And if someone's taking your house keys, wow, that's when the adrenaline starts to really pump. So that's where the crock pack comes in. We can lock the bag to almost anything. And like you can see there on that image, it really is going to change the way that people enjoy their time at the beach or anywhere they go. Cafe, lock it to a chair. Park bench, catching the train home after a busy day, go for a snooze, lock it up, relax.
You and I both have beautiful Louis Vuitton man bags. And I love my Louis Vuitton man bag. But the worst thing is when I go on a flight, I don't want to leave it under the seat in front of me because after being cabin crew with Emirates Airline, there's thieves and they operate on the aircraft. And if it's not a passenger that steals your stuff, it's the cabin crew. And the cabin crew do steal from each other and they steal from the customers. And so I've got to take my LV man bag into the bathroom, but I know that on the aircraft it's a public bathroom. Where do I put it? And so just going to the bathroom is a pain because you can't lock the LV. I mean, so
true. In fact,
solves a massive problem when we can travel again.
On an EK flight, Emirates, for those who aren't sure of the acronym, I actually had on a holiday trip from Dubai to Toronto, and I was taking an internal flight back then where we didn't fly to Vancouver. And on the journey, my bag actually was stolen. I did have a couple of drinks and I was a little bit groggy when I woke up, and I had slept for quite a few hours. In that bag was over $1,200 cash, US dollars, that I was going to convert to Canadian and have a great time, party. There was my onboarding flight tickets, and there was everything else that I was traveling with. So that not only did it wreck my day, it really had corresponding effects for the rest of the holiday. And I still remember that. I still get that palpitation in my heart. And I didn't have any better options at the time. Well, now I do.
Arthur's asking us why the name Crock Pack.
Crock Pack,
with the name Crock Pack.
Really good question, Arthur. Hopefully, I've got a story that's going to live up to it. I was deliberating over many different Australian animals because it is an Australian brand with our accent. Obviously, worldwide, we are Australian and very, very proud of it. Croc, angry, ferocious, don't mess with me. Solid. Pack, it's a backpack. In time, the 2.0, the 3.0 of the Croc Pack, we're going to be unveiling multiple, always anti-theft, but always packs, bags, ways to lock up your valuables and lock it, leave it, love it, like I say.
Now, your marketing is incredible. I've watched these videos last week. I've had a look on the website, and I shouldn't look at the website whilst my wife's around because the girls are stunning on here. And I can see how much work you've put in here. So I want to watch one of these videos. Which one do you recommend that we watch, the first one or the second one?
I think the second one there is probably the best way to go, Ted.
This one here. Welcome to the Croc
Welcome
Pack
to the Croc Pack family. Do that.
Okay, let's check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, check out the quality of the Croc Pack.
Like a kid and a teddy bear, like a leaf blowing in the air. Could you carry me? Could you carry me? Like a flag after a war, when you're gone and when you're first born. Could you carry me? Could you carry me? 'Cause I don't know how we got so far, you and me. Almost like there's a sense between us.
Man, I love it. The quality is amazing. And now there's a lot of creative work that's gone into this behind the scenes. I know that you're the founder, but who's the designer and who brought all this together?
Me, Dan. So on any given day, I'm wearing about 45 hats, and sometimes I need to remember what I'm trying to achieve for that 25-minute block. So yeah, it was designed by me. I did design the lock and all the componentry to it. So all of the branding, once again, has been done by myself, and I really tried to bootstrap these brands together as cheaply as possible, be as nimble as possible. So I've been able to achieve hopefully some big things, and thank you for your kind comments for the cents to the dollar, just by thinking outside the box. And instead of a lot of people these days, and you get onto these chat groups now to say, it's too hard, just hire an agency, just hand over a credit card and they'll take care of the lot for you. So a lot of times you can bring a bag to market that might cost you $50,000, $60,000 between marketing and Facebook ads and building teams, whether they're distributed workforce like mine or if they may be local in your chosen country. It can be very, very expensive, but I think you need to think outside the box to think, how can I achieve the video for a couple of $100? How can I achieve a brand launch for under $15,000, including products?
Behind the scenes, I don't know if I shared this with you before, but my brother and I, we owned a business called Liquid Militia, and we invented our own wheelie bags for wakeboarding. And it cost us an absolute fortune, but we were selling them for like $99 back then. I think that was for the cheapest version. The one with wheels on it was $199. But what we would say to ourselves was, even if nobody bought it, we'd just be so happy in using it ourselves. So there was so much joy in that creativity. I'm definitely not an artist, but there was a lot of joy in bringing all these ideas together, doing the research and solving that problem. And one of the big problems we had, Tim, was you could have a wakeboard and you could have boots, but you'd need a bag. But all the bags were terrible quality and they never had wheels. The problems were the ones that had wheels on them, they were $350. Problem with the $350 one, you could only get one bag in there. One board, one set of boots. And when you put your wet gear in there, it all festered inside. And so the problem we were solving is we had to create a bag with ventilation because we needed the air to get in through there and to dry out the towels and the wetsuits. So we solved that problem. But then we made a multi-layered bag. And so we could have up to 3 decks in the base and you could have another deck on top with the boots. Then we decided that after the industry had changed, people were wearing helmets because we had rail parks. So we made a special compartment for the helmet. And we were just so happy to have it for ourselves. But once we started to use it, people started to use it also. And it was a lot of fun, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot of effort and a lot of heartbreak along the way when you bring something to market and they say, I love it, but don't give it to me in pink.
Yes, mate. I think you've tapped into something there. There's a lot of pride that you experience when you create something tangible. It's not a theoretical idea. It's actually real and you can use it. I use mine every day because I was scratching my own itch to create the crock pack. But essentially, I actually get a lot of joy when someone says, oh, what's that? Show us how it works. Oh, where'd you buy that from? And I'll say, obviously, you can get it now from Kickstarter. But I actually do love having a chat about, the iterations and all the problems I experienced to get to this finished product now. It didn't come easily. There's no doubt about it. And I think that the progression from signing off on the final sample stage of December last year and only launching now due to, obviously, the elephant in the corner here, COVID, there's so many heartbreaks along the way, and you take the wins whenever you can, as you know, mate. So congratulations to you for bringing a gorgeous product to market.
Well, you're no stranger to problems. We met and we were both cabin crew in Emirates Airline, and so that's been 9 years since that flight we did together. But before that, you were on your own journey of health problems. And so one of the things that our clients always struggle with is that they have obstacles. So if we could rewind the tape back to pre-2011, you and I and Zakari and Nini were all living in Dubai. We'd gone through the global financial crisis in 2010, but you had your own health crisis. What was happening for you in the early days of Emirates?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was unfortunately, I contracted a couple of cases of malaria on a trip.
A couple.
Not once, but twice. And actually, it was. I was going to use the word funny. It certainly wasn't funny, but I was very, very fit at the time. I took health very, very seriously. I was working out daily and had a great physique, just like you are wearing right now, mate. You must be working out right now. You're doing well. And exactly, show those guns. And I was told only in hindsight that it took 3 months for the malaria virus to actually incubate and build up enough strength. But when it hit me, it took me down. So I spent over 2 months in hospital, most of which in intensive care, and was intubated a couple of times and had my spleen whipped out. And that's probably the short synopsis. That's probably as far as we need to go on a nice, friendly chat.
Mm. So you've had medical problems there. Then fast forward to 2020, you're launching your business, and a topic that is hot around the world at the moment is resiliency. So you've been through those health scares. What did you learn about yourself then, and how did you apply some of those lessons into your life as you're starting to launch the crock pack?
Yeah, really good question. I think, the word that comes to mind is probably antifragile. Learning how to look at a problem, and no matter how big it is, just try and break it down. So when I was dealing with the health, I survived. So first of all, I was winning. I'd already succeeded through that battle. And actually on a flight, I may not have told you this even after all the years of knowing you, on an Emirates flight when I was operating flight, I actually met my head nurse, and I didn't realise, she was going to be on, obviously, and I served her a drink and she actually started to break down in tears. I gave her a big hug. This is the middle of the service, 320 odd passengers, gave her a big hug and ended up, giving her a couple of drinks over the next 10 or so hours, wherever we were going. And the story actually come out that she didn't think I was going to survive, and not as if they were placing bets, but it was about a 90% chance that I wasn't going to survive. So I guess harking back to that, I'd already won. I was there, 6 months later, I'd already won. But I think the recovery is breaking it down, dealing with the problems that I've experienced with Crockpack over the last year. Get the problem, break it down. How can we fix aspects of this problem today, aspects of this problem? Don't look at it always from that 10,000 foot angle. It's going to look like a tsunami from up there. And when you're sitting underneath it, it's going to crash. It's going to break me. I mean, I could go into so many details of how many tsunamis I think I've faced over the last year. But after I let the adrenal gland stop pumping, I will look at the problem, break it down and think, what can I do? The problem's already happened, or here it is, it's about to crash. What can I do next?
Coming into launching your business, what are some of the challenges that you've had that you anticipated, and even some of the problems that you've had that you didn't anticipate?
Well, I guess I could never have anticipated COVID like the rest of the world. So I guess the runway leading up to CrocPack, I was really meant to launch CrocPack in April of this year, as I'd signed off on it in December. I went away with Sakari and had a beautiful month away in India, got back, and sure, lo and behold, China was already closing the gate and the factory had closed and we couldn't get any word from them because there was no one around. So that launched a cacophony of madness from there on in. So I kind of knew that launching during COVID was never going to be easy. But at the same time, if not now, when? There's lots of viruses out there that we haven't got our head wrapped around. So let's approach this problem head on. Some problems that I didn't experience or didn't know I was going to experience. I'm a big believer in building teams. So I've built an ecom brand before and I've done it all myself, and there's lots of things I would change. And one of the most important things was I'm not the best coder. I had to learn code by, watching YouTubes. I'm not the best marketer. I've got to speak to friends who know more than me, and I've got to put on too many hats. So bring people into my team. But when you're hiring teams, a distributed workforce, mostly in Philippines, I've got 3 full-time staff, and it took me a long time to get the right members of the team and get us clicking. So there's a lot I've had to learn from building team members and building a good camaraderie between all members to work together.
Now, I've noticed here as I'm watching the video, you have a TSA lock. What's the importance about the TSA lock?
Yeah, good question. So TSA, easy, think of it as airport security in the United States, as you can see there. Now, the Transport Security Administration, they've got the right by law to actually break your lock of your bag and gain access if you're not there and you're not able to open it. And what they'll do, they'll gaffer tape it up and say with a little note, "Thank you, I'm sorry, we've just broken your lock," to actually gain access to make sure that all the systems are in place. Now, with a TSA approved lock, they have one of 11 or 12 different keys. Now, they can actually use that key. Only the TSA have those keys, the very particular key, and they'll get access to that, and they'll obviously open it and lock it up. And it is a jailable offence to actually carry a TSA key or be caught with one if you don't work for the TSA.
Wow. So if somebody was down at the beach and they were trying to fiddle with your lock with a TSA key, jailable offence.
Jailable offence, absolutely. But in most cases, people won't be walking around, with machetes. They won't be walking around with TSA keys. 9 times out of 10, like you experienced it, you're in the water having fun, living in the moment. Someone just were opportunistic. They grabbed your bag and they were gone. So,
I remember traveling in Thailand years ago, and I was backpacking. And so before I went, people said, you got to put a lock on your bag. And I looked at the lock that I could put on my bag, and it was about as thick as my hair. It was about as thick as one dreadlock. And I was just constantly panicked about it. So staying down on Khao San Road, I didn't want to leave the hostel because I thought, is somebody going to steal my stuff? And it was a constant worry. I then went north up to Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, all the way up to the Karen and the Lahu villages, and across to Vientiane, Van Vien and Luan Prabang, and then come back down. Just always paranoid about my bag. You go on a bus, paranoid about the bag. And I remember there was even people traveling, and they used to have these mesh covers on their bag. It almost looked like cyclone fence, but chicken wire, and to lock it in. And I'm thinking to myself, backpacking's not all that stylish, but I ain't putting that on my bag. So I had to choose between the paranoia and the good-looking bag, so I chose the paranoia. But now there's a better option.
There is a better option. So I think at the end of the day, if you can, not to get too extreme here, but if I can do that just a little bit to reduce the anxiety of living in 2020, 2021, it's been worth the while. It's been worth the trials and tribulations to do this, and it certainly affected my life for the better. Every day I take it to the beach, I'll lock it to a fence, I'll lock it to my bike, I'll lock it to my electric skateboard, which is locked to the fence, and it's lock and leave, go, have fun. It's going to be there when you get back, relax.
So coming into Christmas, who would this be the ideal gift for?
Yeah, look, I've done a lot of marketing around finding where this fits in most, and really every market seems to fit. It seems to fit certainly as a good present for people who have almost anything. They've got all the bags, or they don't have a crock pack. It could be suitable for the young that are doing swim practice, going to school. Things get nicked from the bags. I'm probably sure you know that all the time. It could be for your average 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s surfer, kayaker. It's fully waterproof. It could be for the commuter that needs to have somewhere safe to stick their belongings whilst they are falling asleep after a 12-hour day, plus the commute, plus the plus. Could be for anyone going to a cafe or a restaurant, want to go to the toilet. I work a lot from cafes personally. I've been doing the entrepreneurial route for the last year and a half, and I have got to get out of these four walls, otherwise I'll go batty. So I'll take my crock pack, the MacBook, the phone, the keys to a cafe. I drink coffee like an absolute champion, so I'll just stick it in the bag, lock it to a table, I'm gone. Don't need to say, hey, do you mind looking after the bag? Because the bag's locked. And I don't need someone to look after the computer because it's already locked up.
I was thinking here, I remember going to Thailand on a holiday, and we went down to the James Bond Islands. I think we went down to Phuket and Koh Samui, Koh Phi Phi over here.
Same.
And we went on the kayaks, and you go into the caves, but you had to leave your bag somewhere. And so you got to make a choice when you leave the hotel. What do you take with you? Because you want to take some money, you want to take your camera, but then you get out there and you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to be out on that water, and my stuff's going to be in the boat. And I know if I leave it on the boat, it's not going to be there. And so I think that would be a perfect place. When we were in Emirates, I was on a flight to Russia. Now, I'd been to Russia once, into Moscow in the winter, and I think it was minus 25 when I was there. Yeah. And then I went back in summer, and it was plus 40. And so I decided I'd go wakeboarding. And I asked the crew, I said, who wants to come wakeboarding? And nobody said yes. So I went by myself. But the captain said to me, he said, Daniel, whatever you do, don't take your passport, don't take your phone, don't take your personal belongings out with you. Leave it all at the hotel. And so I walked downstairs into the lobby, and I went, the captain said, don't take your wallet, don't take your phone, don't take your passport. So I went upstairs and I thought, well, I want to take photos, so I'll just put my passport back in the safe. I went back down, I went wakeboarding out on the water, having a great time, come back into the locker room, and I look at the locker, and there's a shoelace hanging out of my locker, and I thought to myself, fuck, somebody's broken into my gut. My heart just dropped down into my guts, and I opened up the locker, and it was all gone. They'd taken my wallet, but they were so kind, they left my credit card. That was really nice. They took all of my cash. They took my phone. I had a brand new pair of aviator sunglasses, Ray-Bans. I had my Skull Candy headset, and I was devastated. And now I had to try to figure, how do I get back to this hotel? I don't have the hotel address. All I remember it's Hotel Olympia or something. Nobody can speak English, and I can't speak Russian. And there I am in the middle of a foreign city. No phone, no ID. I got a credit card, no cash, and I'm trying to figure out how I get home. And I thought I was doing the right thing, but there wasn't enough deterrence for them there. They broke in, they got it, and I lost out twice.
Tough luck, mate. Yeah, I think after traveling the world for 10 years, I have many instances like that. I've had more things stolen whilst, I guess, living in the moment, maybe having a couple of beers on the beach in Thailand where I lived for a good couple of years, and I've lost more bags, phones, cameras than I have fingers and toes. So yeah, I guess that was the inspiration to produce something like this, just to kind of lessen that fear factor. Go out there and enjoy it. Just lock it and have some fun.
Now, you've got some awesome photos here on social media, and well done for building such a great profile here. So for those people who want to follow you on social media and learn more about Crockpack, what's the best place to head over?
You're looking at it right there, my friends, Crockpack. So the handle is @Crockpack. Would love to have you guys on board. We're just about to launch out on a pretty extensive influencer marketing campaign. We're a little bit late to the boat there. I would love to have started this over a week ago, but I think due to COVID, we're we're about 4 weeks late on the samples arriving to our influencers around the world. So better late than never, they say, mate. So we've got a nice campaign unrolling over the next couple of weeks. Looking forward to having anyone come on board and say hi.
Well, I'm just looking forward to getting one and getting a six-pack like that. Instant transformation.
Absolutely. I couldn't imagine how many times I've been asked that. Do I buy the crock pack and get the six-pack? Which is, funnily enough, actually the crock pack actually works really well as an esky as well. So that's about as close to a six-pack as I can give you, mate. I'm sorry.
And there you are.
That's me, buddy. That's me.
Well done, mate. You've come a long way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you head over to crockpack.com to learn more about Tim Bennett and Crockpack. But before we let you go, Tim, I've got a couple of questions.
Sure.
I'm going to shoot a couple of rapid-fire questions at you. In your life, what frustrates you the most?
We saw it before as we jumped on. Internet dropouts. I'm paying for 2 lots of internet and both at the fastest speed, but I seem to live in this black hole of signal.
And in your journey of life, what's been one mental or emotional block that has held you back the most?
Wow, one. Oh, what's the first that comes to mind? I think whether this is an emotional block, I tend to feel burnout, overwhelm, because I do chase the ball maybe a little bit too hard on any given day. And I think that's probably the one thing that's held me back throughout the last couple of years, the last 5 years more so than just the last year. I'll just burn out, and then it will have corresponding carry-on effects with the rest of my life and relationships and my business. And yeah, I need to probably spend more time listening to you, mate, and read some of your new stuff. And
for our guests who are experiencing overwhelm or burnout, what advice would you share with them on how to avoid it or how to get through it?
Oh, well, I'm still learning that myself, so I'm probably not the right person to be asking this. I think, breaking things down into smaller chunks, the age-old adage that this is a marathon, this is not a sprint. I mean, you've been building your career very successfully for 9 years, and I could say that there's probably no one in Australia that's probably done as much as you have in that period of time. I could only imagine that you've probably experienced some burnout through that period, because we've spoken dozens and dozens of times about the hours that you put in, and that's quite commendable. So I think it's slow things down when you have the time. Don't maybe chase the ball 7 days a week, 15-hour days. 80-hour weeks are not sustainable for anyone. I don't care who you are. Elon Musk maybe, but he's not human, and I certainly am.
He's got alien DNA.
He is not here. He's over there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Bennett, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on your new venture. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to follow Tim and Crockpack. So head over to crockpack.com. So Tim, thanks for joining us, mate. A true pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you face-to-face in Queensland one day soon.
I can't wait. Thanks for having me, mate. Bye-bye.
Looking forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day. We will see you Monday, 3 p.m. Taiwan and 6 p.m. Sydney. Wherever you are, have a wonderful day. Ciao for now.